Okay, we're live. My first ever podcast. Let's launch it. So I've decided to do a podcast which will be mainly video and audio. I know I'm used to doing videos, but they're usually me talking with a bunch of other stuff. So I'm just going to talk about subjects that come up and see where it leads me. Today's one was an interesting one that cropped up this week, and it was about masks and masks that people use or wear, or roles that we play in life and how we identify ourselves. And I'm not talking about the fashionable identifying ourselves as they or he or her or they or any of that pronoun stuff. I'm talking about who you are as a person. So how you portray yourself to the world, to the external world, how you act, the act of you. So the act of Colin Bourne. This is my style. I wear glasses. I have beads. I wear a white shirt. I walk a particular way. I have an accent. I identify as a martial artist. But it's an act. It's not really who I am. And a lot of the times, the reason why we have the act of ourselves is to protect ourselves. To protect ourselves from the external world, from being vulnerable, from people taking advantage of our vulnerability. And I think that's what it all comes down to. Because in life, you're different people to different people, different characters, different roles to different people. Like, I'm different to my mother than I am to my daughter. I'm different to my son than I am to my father. I'm different to your friends than you are to your lover. And you fall into these different roles. And we all have these people that we meet, that every time you meet them, you're funny or you're witty, and you always have a witty conversation because that's the role that you play. Then there's also those other people that put you in bad form, and you meet them, and straight away you're kind of defending what you stand for, or arguing back with what they're saying because it's starting to push your buttons. And then we also have people that, have our number, and they see who you are. And I suppose these people that tell you the truth about yourself, and you think that you've pulled the wool over people's eyes and nobody else sees it but you, are the ones that we tend to be frightened of most, because they see you. They're seers, I was listening to Jeff Thompson, and if you've never heard of Jeff Thompson, you should. Very wise man. Was a martial artist, was a bouncer, had a sabbatical, went off, read all the holy books, and then wrote plays. He has a book out at the moment called The Divine CEO, and he would have been, when I started doing martial arts, he would have been an influence on me, as in he would have done karate, then worked on doors in Coventry, and then realised what he learned was wrong, but he was afraid to say anything because he didn't want to upset the fat Grand Master with the big belly that couldn't get up off the floor. But that's just the way it was always done, and it was tradition, and it wasn't for you to say what we're doing is wrong here. It was you just to stay in or fuck off, So I think with Jeff, he was speaking about this before, and I heard it a few years back, which was asking yourself in a meditation, who am I? Who are you? And sitting down and just repeating, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And then after that, ask, who is it that is asking the question, who am I? Because we're multifaceted, multi-layered. And like I say, we don't want to reveal ourselves because of the vulnerability, because of the way our true selves, our internal selves, ourselves that are just the soul of ourselves, is a lot of people don't even know what that is. They don't even recognize themselves because they get too caught up in the flashy toys on the outside, the brand names, the stuff, the fancy toys, the cars, the clothes, the women, and they just stay in that role. They never really look outside of that. They never really question. They're happy enough in that. Whereas for me and the relationships that I've had, making the mistakes of, I'd say the biggest mistake I ever made was not revealing myself enough, but only making the mask slip a little bit to entice them and then covering it back up again and being influenced by other people in order to keep the mask up. And there's something in love that true love, not emotional love. Emotional love has an opposite. And emotional love is a need, is a want. People are in love, but they're very quickly out of love, and the love becomes hate. It becomes this love-hate relationship. So to that emotional state, which is usually kind of trying to fill up a lot of holes inside because people weren't loved as a child, or felt they weren't loved, or felt that they were rejected, or felt that they were bullied or didn't really fit in, and then they seek this emotional love everywhere, and they always find bad relationships or stuff that is not really what they're looking for, which is a higher frequency love, which has no opposite. Pure love is, by nature, is forgiving. Pure love by nature has no opposite. It's just bliss. It's a different frequency. I would say my biggest fault that I've been working on is showing myself a little bit more to people instead of carrying on with the role of how I want everybody else to see me. And that's kind of like, you're always going to put your best foot forward. You're always going to, brush your teeth and polish your head and wear your best suit, right? But for me now, it's a case of working on knowing when to let the mask down, but also knowing when to put the mask on, because the world mainly has negatives, for me anyway, and very few positives. And realizing that people's most people don't need to see me. They all they need to see is the idea they have of me or who they think I am. Whereas for me, I need to recognize when to take the mask off and when to leave it on. And that would be my message for today. I learned a good meditation, because I wouldn't be one for, I've tried a lot of different things. So I rather like try it first and then comment afterwards. So I did, there was a place in Dublin where there was a Zen Buddhist monk, and he was off Georgia Street, and he had a little bed sit. It was a studio above where the Taekwondo place was there in Drury Street, and on the Drury Street buildings. And it was basically his apartment with a bit of an altar and some cushions around it, and then there was a little mezzanine with a single futon, and then he had a single person sauna. And I went to this class one day, and it was basically sit on the cushion in half lotus about half a meter from a wall and just stare at the wall in silence. And every now and then he'd make a bong noise and he'd get up and walk around a little bit. But I found that for me didn't really work. I find that meditation for me comes from doing motion. Like, so riding a bike or doing jiu-jitsu or hitting a bag or lifting weights or stuff where I can calm my mind by doing an activity that I can switch off to. And I find that's really where I do better in meditations rather than looking at a wall. But the meditation I found, which I thought was great, was on the inhale, you would inhale long and just say I. And on the exhale, you just say am. So it's I am on the exhale. And you do that a few times, and then you think about what comes to you with that. And I found that out of all the ones I've ever come across, I thought that was a good one. But it's when the mask is off, or if you even want to take it off, do you like what you're looking at? And if you don't, you can change it, or you can just ignore it and get on with your life and play the role and do your thing, do your walk. So that is it for my first podcast. I'm going to put them on YouTube and just have little chats to the camera. Might start interviewing people, but it's not really my forte because I like talking about myself. So what I might do is start doing other people's podcasts and get set up. And the other thing as well is just creating things, getting used to the tech gear again, getting used to the mics, getting used to the light, getting used to the camera, creating instead of consuming. So that is all. Hare Krishna, Namaste, Hare Krishna.